You listen to your Morning Monarchy, my friends. It is, according to my calculations, it appears to be the fourth Wednesday of the month. And for the 8th time this year, we get the Mounsey Minute. Our buddy Gavin Mounsey up in Canada has become a fantastic partner of the Media Monarchy Kingdom. And as I've said many times, I get frustrated. I've been doing this too long. I don't feel like it's worth anything. Blah, 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 blah. Then we started doing the Mounsey Minute. I think it's some of the most helpful, usable, actual, food-loving information that you can get here from the Media Monarchy Kingdom. Maybe I should call it Food Monarchy. So CastBot already posted some of the pictures earlier on this episode of our Paw Paws. Slow to start, but easy to grow. A huge thanks to our buddy Gavin Mounsey, and I've got his articles. Paw Paw, Asimina triloba, that is the Paw Paw. Hey, and height supremacist notes. Oh, I thought you were starting 5 Paw Paw plants. You're just starting a 5-day weekend to grow some Paw Paw plants. Also, Gavin has a post describing the series he is doing on ideal species for regenerative agroforestry and exploring their medicinal properties, which will become the backbone of his next book. Stacking Functions in the Garden, Food Forest, and the Medicine Cabinet, the regenerative way from seed to apothecary. And on top of all that, one of his favorite acoustic guitar songs, Lewis and Clark by Tommy Emmanuel, which is referenced in your Mounsey Minute. And he even asks CastBot, how are those Paw Paw seedlings coming along for you? He sent us seeds. CastBot is growing them, as Paw Paws are slow to start, but easy to grow.
This is Gavin Mounsey for Media Monarchy. I'm author of Recipes for Reciprocity, the regenerative way from seed to table, and this is the Mounsey Minute. This month I'm going to be talking about one of the tree species I covered in my Substack series that's going to become the backbone for my next book, which focuses on tree species and medicinal herbs that are ideally suited for regenerative agroforestry, or food forest design in temperate growing zones. It's the largest fruit native to North America, and the only fruit tree ever to escape the tropics. Thanks to the help of indigenous horticulturalists over the centuries, we now have access here all the way in southern Ontario to the Paw Paw, aka Asimina triloba. This tree is a really amazing tree in the food forest because you can plant it actually in the partial shade of other trees and it still gives you a good amount of fruit. If you check out my post on Substack, you'll find lots of detailed information that's going to help you to be able to source out Paw Paw seedlings or grow them all the way from seed yourself. Basically, the tree, when it's younger, from ages like 1 to 3 years old, maybe 4 years old, prefers a bit of a part shade. It actually needs protection from the strong sun. So what I found is that if I can put the seedlings up against a south-facing fence and protect them from the strong sun and just allow some sun to come through the slats of the wood, then they get acclimatized by the time they get 6 feet tall, and then they really go for it in the full sun at year 3 or 4. Paw Paw has a long and illustrious history in American culture, where in the travels of Lewis and Clark, they were eating the fruit. Mark Twain was a favorite of his. And when people escaped the slave plantations and they were going north to Canada, it was a helpful food for them on their journeys. Now, if you've never had a Paw Paw fruit before, imagine a fruit the size of a mango that smells like the most tropical exotic fruit. When you cut it in half, you have a rich, sweet, custard-textured flesh that has a flavor profile somewhere between banana, papaya, pear, strawberry, and jackfruit, depending on the variety. Another thing that's really great about this tree is that the foliage and the bark are not desired by deer or rabbits. So where you're facing a lot of pressure from your four-legged friends, they're not really going to pay much attention to your Paw Paw seedlings. And in addition to that, we're places where they have black walnuts growing and they're exuding that allelopathic chemical jugulone through their roots, suppressing the growth of other plants. Paw Paws can actually grow quite well in direct proximity to black walnut trees. Nutritionally speaking, Paw Paws are vitamin-packed with antioxidants. Paw Paw pulp contains all essential amino acids and in higher concentrations than apples, bananas, or oranges. It's full of vitamins and minerals, exceeding peaches, grapes, and apples. It is exceptionally high in potassium, calcium, vitamin C, niacin, phosphorus, iron, zinc, copper, and magnesium. The medicinal actions offered by the plant include antimicrobial, antioxidant, anti-proliferative, which means preventing the growth of cancer cells in the human body, cardioprotective, and tonifying properties. This species can grow in cold hardiness zones 4 to 9, and if you are going to try and source out some seeds from a fresh fruit, just make sure you don't let the seeds dry out, because Paw Paw seeds, a lot like apple seeds, are called recalcitrant, which means they have to retain their moisture for the embryo to stay alive inside the seed. So if you do harvest the seeds and you want to save them to the following season before planting, you'd want to put them in a fridge in like a moist towel after washing off all the flesh and simulate winter conditions in the fridge before taking them out to warm up for germination. Or you could ideally just plant them right out the final location where they're supposed to germinate and let them naturally go through the winter cycle. The Latin genus name for this fruit comes from the Ojibwe word for pawpaw, Asimina. Pawpaw's importance to indigenous peoples on Turtle Island is reflected not solely archaeologically, but in folklore and linguistics. There's a town in Louisiana called Natchitoches, which translates to the Paw Paw eaters, and is derived from the name given by the Caddo people. Archaeological evidence indicates that indigenous people, such as the Onondaga, introduced the tree to southern Ontario about 400 years ago. George Washington planted pawpaws at his home in Mount Vernon in 1785, and more recently, in 1806, the members of the Lewis and Clark expedition subsisted almost entirely on wild pawpaws for several days. When their party was out of provisions, they had to survive on what was growing locally, and that was the pawpaw fruit. As a shout out to that historical side note of Paw Paw history, I'll share one of my favorite acoustic guitar songs in the show notes. If you check out my article on Paw Paw trees on Substack, you'll find more elaborated information on the health benefits, as well as all the functions that this tree can provide in the wilderness and in the food forest. You'll also find some fun recipes that you can use if you start to grow your own pawpaws, such as Paw Paw ice cream and Paw Paw mead. Okay, that's it for me this month, guys. I hope this inspires you to get out there and try some pawpaws, maybe try cultivating your own tree. Happy Paw Paw hunt.
Gavin Mounsey. Tommy Manuel's coming to Asheville, North Carolina. I got to get tickets. Somebody in the chat said, I have never heard of Tommy Emmanuel before. Definitely, of course, some Leo Kottke vibes. But hey, Gavin, you can suggest your segment song more often if you like. It just has to be like that, like a Wednesday foodie country style song. That was the 8th installment of your Mounsey Minute. Paw Paws. Slow to start, but easy to grow, my friends. We will include the audio download for that Mounsey Minute. And, of course, we always link you to the previous installments as well. Last month's was Radio Protective Foods on the radio. And a lot of good Paw Paw talk in the chat. Paw Paw, most northerly growing type of custard apple, which is why Paw Paw trees look like they belong in a jungle. The fruit tastes like vanilla banana custard. Paw Paws and black raspberries grow like weeds in my little grove. It's awesome. I got to get some Paw Paw sprouts from my local farm. I keep forgetting he just mows over the seedlings. I got 4 seedlings for $20 last week. Sounds like something to grow around weed plants to keep those pests away. People always talk about them growing wild around here in Tennessee, but I've never found one. Or maybe just the deer get them before me? And possibly most importantly, Paw Paw Spice not coming this fall to Starfucks. Also, you really had me going there. The cat meowing sounded... Because Casbot takes off to go to Taos to do some stuff for her mom on Wednesdays, and usually when she takes off is sometimes when the cats here start to get a little rowdy. I had to take off my headphones and pop open my door to realize that was Gavin's cats, not mine. I have the headphones on, so I was a little confused. I was like, Holly? You listen to your Morning Monarchy. Gavin Mounsey does fantastic work. If you have not checked out his book, Recipes for Reciprocity, it is highly recommended. And I've told you, my mom listens to the Mounsey Minute because Gavin posted on some other social media platforms. I was kind of surprised. Mom was like, yeah, I already heard it. I guess we are doing some good work here in the Media Monarchy Kingdom. I appreciate you guys. It is your Food World Order Wednesday, and yes, your Mounsey Minute is the 4th Wednesday of the month installment we have been doing all this year. Mountain Made update. $73 for the Asheville show on December 12th.